I want to give an update on some TV shows that I've done reviews for. The first one is The Good Place, and I wasn't really sure about that program. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't sure where it was going to go and how it was going to progress. It needed to be well written and good character development. I'm happy to say that it's actually ticked those boxes in my opinion. I've watched about 6 episodes now. I watched the initial episode when I gave the first review, and it's holding up really well. I mean, Ted Danson's been in the industry for ages. He knows what he's doing. He's done a number of sitcoms, Cheers, of course, and Becca. So he knows his territory well. And Kristen Bell is quite talented. She's done a number of shows herself, and she's no slouch when it comes to acting. And the supporting cast is quite good. They're developing well as well. And it has surprised me. They put in a few character changes there I wasn't expecting, which has kept the whole thing fresh. So that's worked out really well. So that show has been a pleasant surprise for me. So I would recommend The Good Place. It's quite a good sitcom. A quirky sitcom and with a talented cast and well written. So that's a keeper, I reckon, at this stage. Now, one that I'm not so happy with is Designated Survivor, and I had high hopes for this one. I thought it was a really fresh concept, and starring Kiefer Sutherland, and he was the underling in cabinet who was basically the designated survivor when there was this devastating terrorist attack on Capitol Hill, which wiped out all the senior politicians and left him basically as the next person in line to become the president. So the theme, of course, they're following, which is quite reasonable, is his legitimacy in that he was a fairly lowly ranking member of the administration. He's got a lot to prove, and that's a good setup, a very good character setup, and the whole idea of the show is a great idea. This how you have this incredible terrorist attack, causing so much mayhem. That's the good side of it. The first warning sign for me was the way they portrayed the general. That was very cliched. The right wing belligerent general. Just very, as I said earlier, that's the one thing I didn't like about the show. I was pretty happy about every other aspect of it. Unfortunately, it's gone further downhill in a political sense for me, in that there's definitely a bias towards the Democrat Party because Kiefer Sutherland is a Democrat president. The next senior person involved happened to be a Republican, and of course she's portrayed as being a nasty person who's just looking for basically feathering her own nest. And another character that they brought in was a mayor of I think it was Chicago, and who was basically had his police force going out locking up Muslims, taking them off the street as suspects, which of course Kiefer told him he couldn't do, and he countermanded his edict because he said there's a federal edict that means you cannot do this. It's but of course the Republicans so far have all been nasty people, and of course the Democrats are virtuous, and that's this really, to me, is just very unsophisticated writing. To me, most politicians are duplicitous assholes. So it goes right across the political divide, and I would hope for something better than that. It's very disappointing in that there's good storylines involved, and there's some good actors involved in this production, but I won't be watching it. I don't want this Democrat propaganda shoved down the throat. It's just too simplistic. I was actually gratified to see that several reviewers on the Internet Movie Database actually agreed with me too, and also commented that this show just lacks that subtlety that required to make it something special, and that the political bias is pretty obvious. So, hats off to those people who wrote in, and even though the show is receiving high marks on Internet Movie Database, there are dissenters out there, and I'm sure it will hurt its long-term viability. It really makes me pine for the first two series of Homeland, which were just stunningly good and great character portrayals and covered pretty hard subjects very well and very even-handedly, I think. They could learn a lot from the producers of that show, I think. Another new program that could learn from the producers of Homeland is a new vehicle for Nick Nolte called Graves. It's basically about a retired president who had 20 years of office, looks back on his record, has an epiphany, realizes that he was an evil Republican president, and he's trying to fix his ways now. I mean, it is just so ridiculous and transparently propaganda from the liberal majority in Hollywood. It's pretty well unwatchable, and it's really a shame because I like Nick Nolte. So, a really, really disappointing again to see talent wasted. It's quite similar to what's happened with Designated Survivor. You can actually make shows that are more balanced, and you can make shows that about politics that are good. And an example of that is Veep, which I think is an excellent show. And I love that program, and I don't mind which side of politics to have a go at, but be even-handed, for God's sake. Is it that hard? Bottom line is that audiences tune in to be entertained, not preached at. So when are these people going to learn? Dangerous ground they're treading on. On the positive side of the ledger, gotta say I really enjoyed a new sitcom, Haters Back Off, brought out by Netflix. It's really got a lot of potential and it's very poignant and a very dysfunctional and funny family. The daughter is the protagonist in this particular sitcom, and she is goddamn awful as a singer. And we see her do her YouTube clips. So it's particular of interest to people on YouTube to watch this because I think it's a great satire on the whole fame obsession in America. And of course, her sister is more level-headed, and the mother's sort of middling. But it's actually, instead of a stage mom, it's actually a stage dad in this case. And he is actually, keeps stroking the daughter's ego, Miranda, who is his daughter. She is lousy talent-wise. She's got no talent whatsoever, but the father keeps feeding her ego, and she's an absolute little bitch, let's be honest. And of course, her sister can see that. The mother has doubts, but the father is a zealot, and he will not broach any criticism of this girl. So you can see it's quite an interesting setup, and as I say, quite poignant, quite contemporary, and it's got a lot more going for it than many other sitcoms I've seen. I've only seen the one episode of it, but I have high hopes that we could be on for a winner with this one. Another honourable mention goes to the new Amazon.com series called Goliath, starring good old Billy Bob Thornton, plus William Hurt, Maria Bello, and quite a talented supporting cast. It's a fairly old setup in that it's a bit of a washed-out lawyer who actually gets, I think, alienated from the firm he actually started, if I read the plot correctly. And he's trying to pick up the pieces. Of course, he's hit the booze, and a lot of cliches like that, but done with a lot of style, I've got to say. And the quality of the acting is excellent. However, he does discover that he's on to a potentially big case, a huge cover-up, and And it's another slow burn type series where it's peeling back the onions layer by layer, and you're revealing the plot. It's quite an enjoyable watch. As I say, great characterizations. A bit of violence, a bit of sex, a bit of intrigue, all the ingredients. I'm enjoying it, and in spite of the fact that there are a number of cliches, it is extremely well done, and I think it'll be a pleasurable experience. The two new time travel series that premiered about the same time, ironically, Timeless and Frequency, are both sort of bubbling along. I've got to say that I wonder how long they can go, though. I mean, even though I really liked Timeless's first episode, and I thought Frequency was okay, they basically have the same plot lines. In both shows, the characters cause slight changes to history through their tampering in their time travels, which, as a consequence, causes their immediate relationships to change, with immediate family members missing or in different situations to what they were. They don't know who the person is anymore, that type of thing. Very similar plot lines. So it's a bit strange to have these shows running in parallel like that, and they may cause each other's demise because there's only so many of these sorts of shows you can really take. So I don't know why they've been released at the same time. Very strange, but I think only one will survive, if that. On safer ground is Westworld, and I think I've seen about the 3 episodes of that now, and that does seem to be developing quite nicely. And it's a slow burn, but it's well written, the acting's good, and direction, of course. So it appears as if this one has a bit of a future. Being an HBO production, they've got quite a bit of expertise behind them, and it's showing so far. And finally, my 2 candidates for shows to avoid in this particular season are Aftermath and Falling Waters. The former, Aftermath, is like a post-apocalyptic type of show, although the proverbial's hitting the fan while we're watching. But there's just so much happening, objects coming from the sky in all directions, and everybody being under siege. It's just a mishmash of too much action, too many characters, and I just couldn't get into it at all. A real dog of a show, in my opinion. And the other one is Falling Water, and again, this is like a psychological program based on people having intertwined dreams, and it just didn't work for me. But maybe if you're wired differently, you might enjoy those shows. I personally thought those were 2 shows to avoid.